overhead squat, guys, Coach Amy's favorite move. It is a barbell-centric move, so for those of you that are interested in fully loaded, have a barbell at home, this is for you, right? I would highly suggest not doing this with a dumbbell or a pair of dumbbells. Way too challenging in the shoulder girdle, and I don't think the risks of dumbbell going out and floating is worth the stimulus of what it can give you with a dumbbell. But a barbell, oh, so good. It is one of the most potent tools with a barbell we can use, even more than a snatch or some of the other clean and jerk or even sometimes deadlifts. Now, it is going to go and be not really leg centric. It does say squat, but in reality, it's going to challenge your midline a ton, and it's going to challenge your shoulder mobility and stability. Now, let's talk about grip, because that's going to be super important. Remember, your stance is going to be the same as air squat, so refer to the basics for squatting mechanics in the air squat movement guide. Now, from there, I like to go ahead and think about right at your hip crease. If you were to go ahead and give me a little captain in you know what I mean, and we lay that bar or the dumbbell, the PVC stick across that position, and then make sure your arms are able to grip with a long elbow, locked out elbow, that's gonna be your width. Now, if we were to then throw this overhead, we wanna try to think with locked out elbows, we're always pressing up on the bar. And at that position, if we were to let this drop, it's going to land directly over your ear. And as we go lower in the squat, it's going to go ahead and drift a little back, because if I was to drop it, that ear line, if our body, the bar was able to just travel through our body like butter, it's going to always be in the center of our foot, between the toe and the heel. Now let's talk about where our shoulders are supposed to be. Some people like to think, and we're gonna rotate, armpits forward or elbow pits up. I like to think elbows down, because that's a pretty good indicator, because people can bend the elbow really quick. Go for it, coach. And then wherever this is pointed, is it too far forward? Is it back, right? No, it should be pointing straight down, and then lock that elbow out from there. Now, this is gonna be your first diagnostic tool for you to see if I should even mess around with the overhead squat with load. We went ahead, when we first learned it, it took months for us to be able to go ahead and do this movement right, so we just stuck with a PVC stick. Keep it super light before you put any load, because when this shoulder internally rotates and drive forward, that doesn't look good, right? And a lot of people lie to themselves, gaslight themselves, and believe that this is a good position. Nah, that's how you wreck your shoulder, right? So we're gonna teach you a nice diagnostic tool so you don't do that. We're gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna hold this for Coach, and she's gonna go ahead and give me jazz hands up into the sky. So we're gonna go ahead and think dinner plates. That's one thing you could go ahead and tell yourself, to where if you were a waitress, waiter, right, and you got a crazy amount of load trying to go ahead and get around people, deliver your items, this is what you're gonna wanna look for. And when you're there, you're gonna try to think about pushing it up at the diagonal position as hard as you can. Now, from there, Coach is going to simply make sure her PVC stick is in the center, and we wanna make sure we don't lie to ourselves with diagnostic and start to wrap our fingers around. Really go ahead and splay them out and almost pull them down away from the PVC stick as much as possible. Then from there, we're gonna go ahead and try to make sure, can this PVC stick stay between our feet? As you can see, it stays over her ears. For those of us that might pitch a little more forward because our squat, it's okay that it's not over our ears. We just want to think, is it always slightly getting pushed up and behind so it stays over our center of our foot? That's okay. Now, if we can do that, guys, you're green lit to mess around with a little bit of load, a blank bar, something along those lines. But always think about pushing up against the barbell as hard as you can, because there's a tendency as you go down for this elbow to want to go ahead and bend. And then as we go back up, it stays bent, and then it puts a ton of pressure in the shoulder in that internally rotated position. So think drive up as much as you can. Be slow. A nice way to go ahead and add intensity to this, so now we're getting into the try hard tips. We already talked about a lot of the durability tips here, is to go ahead and have a really good tempo. Maybe 3 seconds down, pause at the bottom, 3 seconds up. Show control. That's gonna really challenge your midline, your shoulders, and it's gonna give you endurance. And make sure you can do a good set, maybe 3 to 5 reps that way before you add weight. Because remember, it's not about your leg strength, it's about midline stability and shoulder stability. And can you keep the barbell in the correct position?